I FaceTime right now. What's up guys, welcome back. First part of the video you saw me doing the timing belt, water pump tensioner, all that good stuff on this end of the motor. If you're interested in a DIY on that, you can click up here. We did it on my friend's CRX end of last summer, maybe middle of the summer. That one's a little more in depth because he has the power steering and the AC compressor, so that's a little bit better. Don't want to bore you with that again. While doing this job, of course I drained the coolant and I wanted to refill it and get started. But after looking inside the radiator, I don't know if you can see those little like beads in there. I don't know if they use some sort of stop leak. I'm gonna go ahead and flush the coolant system right now. Another process I'm not gonna include in this video. I have a nice video up here that I did on the CRX a couple years ago. We're gonna get that taken care of today, and got a new radiator we're gonna install. I'll show that in a minute, just a real quick glimpse of it. What I really want to get done also, what I was trying to work on today, I want to get some new motor mounts installed. These are made by Jackspania Racing. We already installed the post mount when finishing up the timing belt. We're going to install the rear and the passenger side, transmission side. We're also going to use another one of his billet shifters. These things are awesome. They feel fantastic. I've been using the gold one in my CRX last year. I used it for 5 events, and I absolutely love the way that the shifter feels. Not even that, he just looks badass too. So we're going to utilize one of these in conjunction with his mounts. Get that installed on the EG today. What's really cool about the new one that he makes is the shift knob is actually removable. I can't hold it enough, but I'm going to remove that. Probably rock one of my shift mounts for now. And along that way, like I said, we're going to get some new hoses installed. All of the 5/16 hoses will change out too. And then the radiator, we're just going to use a little eBay special. I didn't want to utilize that radiator again because of the crap that was inside of it, so we're going to throw this one on. It's pretty inexpensive, $100. Comes with the shroud and the fan. It's pretty cool. Seems like a solid price. It's meant to fit this car perfectly, so get that thrown on, and hopefully we can get the car actually running today under its own power, warm it up, and I think most of the mechanical part of it will be ready. I can finally take it to get registered. I'll change the oil and transmission fluid along the way. I'm not going to bore you with that either, but I want to get it registered, and we're getting closer to hopefully having this out ready for the track soon. So hope you guys follow along, and let's get started. While I'm here, I can't remember if I talked about it. We're gonna remove the OEM clutch line and we're gonna replace it with a stainless one. This one had sprung a leak here, and my dad was telling me on his way home the car was hard to get into gear at some points, and obviously I had looked in here and I don't think there's anything even left. There's a minimal amount down there, so it keeps leaking out every time they use it. I'm sure that's not helping, but we're gonna replace that with a stainless line so they have so much room, and we're gonna remove the torque mount. I don't think there's any need for that now with the aftermarket mounts. That way it's just cleaner down here and less to mess with as I work on it. But let's keep moving forward. Mounts are knocked out. Perfect fit. I had zero issues getting any of them in. I've never had a B-swapped EG before, and I did not realize how, you know, it's super easy working on here. There's so much more room. Like, you can remove, I actually removed the entire T-bracket and moved it out of the way and bolted the mount up. Super easy to get in, and the reason why I wanted to do the mounts at the same time as the coolant, because obviously it's a ton of room. All the hoses are removed. It's easy to move everything around, and now I can start putting on new thermostat, all new hoses, clean it up a little bit, and get this cooling system finished up along with the stainless line. All right, guys, a little bit of rain rolled through. It chased me inside, but here's an update. Kind of had to rush it because the weather got really nasty. Of course, all the hoses are hooked up, eBay radiators thrown in. This thing's not bad for $96 ship. You know, it's pretty sick. Mine sits a little cocked, and I was looking at it, and I think it's because I probably pull this portion forward a little bit more, and that way it angles it back. Honestly, I'm not gonna mess with it. Clears the hood. Nothing is hitting at all. I'm not worried about it. Mounts went in pretty easily. I did change out clutch master cylinder and the slave, added that steel braided line I was talking about. Just, I wanted to avoid worrying about these being, because they looked old. They were like the Nissan parts. So if that's the case, they probably have a ton of miles on them. I just didn't want to have to worry about that. One less thing to mess with, and they're pretty inexpensive. It's like 18 bucks from AutoZone and like 30 from AutoZone as well. I like those for the lifetime warranty. I bypassed the fast idle thermo valve, all new fresh hoses. I put a little OEM block off behind the battery. Need a battery tie down. Removed the AC wiring. Next, I want to clean it in here and really like make it look really sharp, add a new intake, and just get that looking so much nicer. Pull the ECU open, and it's a P05, really neat. This one has an old school Honda S100. You don't see these often. They've been discontinued for a while. I don't know how it's tuned, what's set up. I'm gonna remove it. I have an old S300 from one of my other cars we're gonna throw in here, and that way I can take a look at, just put a B16 base map and take a look at the air fuel ratios. It should be fine. It's the stock B16. There's not much going on with it. And finished up, I'm not sure, I can't remember if I showed this in a different video or not. Put in a gauge cluster in that I picked up locally. Added some LEDs, looks clean. Plus, you know, getting rid of all that other stuff that was in here helped. And next we're gonna get that shifter installed and we can wrap up this video. Excited to get that one and see how it feels, especially in conjunction with the Jackspania mounts. Alright guys, since we're talking about the shifter right now, I had started working on it. If you want a full in-depth installation guide, you can click up here. I'm gonna link the old video I did on the gold one in the CRX. I removed the old shift linkage. The stabilizer bar is now here, along with that old shifter. I already have the linkage on. I installed bottom of the shifter, there's the little pivot bearing which attaches to the linkage itself. Let me show it here. I had to add some spacers because I didn't want to squeeze the two areas where it bolts through, and seems solid right there. Now what I'm doing, and you may want to do this also, like reach in here, like I can push it into third, neutral, fourth. Put it back into neutral, get this lined up. And what you want to do next, like it looks like it's kind of centered. What I'm going to do here, we're going to set this up. I have the little Allen head bolt. Once I'm going to install it, I can't really do it showing. Let me put it on the tripod. I'm going to get these two attached real quick, and I'm going to show you why I'm doing this. Okay, so it's still in neutral, and there's actually, on this thing, when you're looking at yours, there's actually two areas. You could actually drop the linkage a little lower or a little higher. I think generally you probably want it on the highest setting just to clear maybe a bigger exhaust. But what I want to do is try to have this as centered as much as possible. So we need to pull the linkage up, of course, without putting it into gear. Just put that little Allen head bolt on. It doesn't need to be completely tight right now. Once you have it all finished up, you can tighten it completely. But if I can get this little sucker in there. Okay, so what I want to do next is now you can move this around the bracket depending on where you want your shifter to sit. Like, see, obviously if I installed it up there, the shifter's going to sit all forward, which I don't want. So I'm just going to try to get it as neutral in the middle as possible, and that should give me a good template where to start drilling my holes and mount it up. And at that point I'll be directly centered, and it'll be the best, I guess the best position where I like it. I could go forward more, but now this is entirely up to you, wherever you want yours to sit. I just didn't want to install the bracket like right here and all of a sudden it sits all stupid. But this is I think a good thing to do if you are installing this shifter and you're pretty anal about the position of where the shifter's sitting. The hardest thing about this shifter is trying to install it yourself. If you have someone else here to hold these bolts and nuts, you're great, but I don't. I'm gonna finish it tonight. This is how I do it. And then you gotta make sure it stays on. Oh, what a pain in the ass. Come on, baby. Okay, we're done. Haven't tightened up that yet. And I need to adjust the lockouts. Let me get that set up. Just for reference, in a 92 to 95 Civic, this piece does not fit the cup holder area. It hits the front of the shifter. Looks like this portion right here is hitting. I guess I could cut that out and just leave this as a cover if I wanted to, but I didn't plan on reinstalling this anyways. I just wanted to add it to the video in case anyone's watching and they're curious. I finished the shifter the other night. Out here the next afternoon. Just gonna change the fluids for the oil and the transmission fluid. So same time, I had these Speed Factory detent springs. I drained the oil already. transmission fluid was sad. There was hardly anything inside of it. This is what was in the transmission, which is sad. Luckily, it's still shifting into gear fine. It hopefully should feel better now. I'm just hoping there's not like a major leak somewhere. When I do fill it, we'll just figure that out. But this is empty. Changing those detent springs, you now have these 2 bolts you can remove here and change those out. I'm gonna do that really quickly before filling it back up with fluid, of course. For those who have never done this before, it's not difficult. It's a 12 millimeter. Once you get to the end, go slow because there's a little ball on top of the spring when you pull it out. And this is that little ball I was talking about. And here's that spring. So we're just gonna change that with the Speed Factory one. Here's what that original one looks like. And Speed Factory one is just beefier. It's a little bit taller. Whoops. It's a little bit taller also. Let me do this, you can see it. So, just gotta put that one back in there. Put your little bearing on top and just feed it in. It's already stronger, you can feel it catching. And there you go. Get your second one done. Pretty easy. Here's a look with the bay, finished up cleaning. It looks a ton better. I'm gonna need to repolish the radiator a little bit. Some of the cleaning agents dulled it down. Same with the mounts, slightly. Not that big of a deal, but I will get those cleaned up. I realized I didn't have any sort of metal polish here, and I thought I still did, but everything's looking a lot better. The last thing I'm gonna do is just finish cleaning up the bay. I bought a new spark plug cover, some new wires. I'm gonna put a silver oil cap on. Picked up this battery tie down. I didn't have one, and this one was kind of cool. It was pretty inexpensive. I bought it off eBay. Some VMS. These are the nuts for the valve cover. Just kind of a cool looking gunmetal one. And I have this AEM intake that I've had for a while. I got it from a B18 that I purchased from a friend. I think I'm gonna throw this on. Max Speed Rods used to make this, the whale peen intake. I think I'm gonna throw that on there and just rock that for now. I don't think they make it any longer. They sent it to me a long time ago with some coilovers, but I'm gonna throw all those pieces on. I'll get you a final look at the engine bay and we'll wrap this video up. And here's the bay wrapped up, guys. It looks phenomenally better. Thanks again to Jackspania for the mounts and the shifter. I love that shifter. It is so much fun. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, on the CRX, that thing feels awesome at the track. The mounts should be great for holding this engine in position with that shifter, so excited to try that out. The transmission does feel a little notchy, third gear. I'm gonna have to take it for a spin. You saw, I emptied it already, but how much fluid was in it? There wasn't anything left, so unfortunately maybe it's a little damaged, but we're gonna give it a run, see how it goes. I like the way this intake, that intake look, it actually looks really cool in there. And I kind of wanted to stay with like a little bit brighter theme, everything kind of silver or polished. Valve cover, the spark plug cover looks nice, same with that inexpensive oil cap. I really like this battery stay. That thing came out really cool. And I'd like to get, you know, the Greddy header. I have a Greddy header that I put on here. You saw it in a few videos back where I finished up the exhaust. It's nice, it just needs some love. It's just really dull. I think it's the only thing that makes the engine bay look a little ugly. Other than that, it's looking really sharp. And there's still some things I could do. I'd like to get another throttle body, that way I can get the map sensor mounted onto it and just clean up little things here and there. There's not much else I want to mess with though. I just wanted to get this car ready to beat on before eventually pulling this engine. But hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Thanks for watching. As always, thanks Jackspania for the products. Those are, if you're wanting my opinion, I really like the products he's came out with and he's been building. He has a ton of K-swapped stuff, which when I get to that point, I'd like to use and utilize some of his products as well, if not most of his products, like the exhaust manifold, the intake manifolds he offers, the throttle bodies, just basically a whole assortment of his product on my K-swap. I think that'd be cool to just kind of mix it up and go in a direction and give him some support. But thanks for checking it out, guys. We will be back out here again soon. We're gonna address the suspension. I think that is it before giving this thing a go. You guys take care. I'll see you soon.